So I'm at the Vans aircraft booth at Airventure 2025, and the star of the show is obviously the RV-15. Vans aircraft showed up with still somewhat of a prototype, but flying example of their new RV-15. And I came by early enough on Tuesday morning that I was able to get some pictures without the crowds being quite so thick. And standing by at the booth was Greg Hughes and Rian Johnson. And we were chatting a little bit about the aircraft. And I asked them if one of them would be willing to do a little interview with me. And Rian Johnson reluctantly volunteered. And I was able to ask him a few questions. And he kind of gave an overview of the aircraft. So here's a little video of Rian Johnson doing an overview of the RV-15. So I want to apologize for some of the audio in this interview. Being outside at Airventure with P-51s and helicopters taking off and flying around caused some environmental interference that I just can't get rid of. But I think this is great information. I hope you enjoy the interview.
Yesterday at noon, we put the aircraft on sale. There was a line, took orders for a couple hours straight here. Excited to sell the wing kit. That's the first of the kits. We'll move on to the empennage kit. So the wing kit, we'll have that. We're selling it now. It will ship by the end of the year. And then by the end of the year, we'll put the empennage up for sale and deliver that in Q1. By this time next year, we'll have the fuselage up for sale and deliver that by the end of next year. So that's the overall schedule. The finished kit will be tied closely to the fuselage kit. They'll come out pretty much together. So excited to see this airplane hit the market. People realize how easy it is to build. It's our easiest kit yet to build. The instructions are improved over what we've done before, so more steps, spread out over more papers. So we're simplifying the process. It's more Lego-like, as we like to say. And we're just taking it down to airplanes level, easy to understand. On the assembly side, where you might have had to cut pieces out of material before, that's going away. Your wing kit will be delivered. Push routes will already be cut to length. So those little details will make it go much quicker. The wings will come with quick build fuel tanks. So we think it's a huge step forward. You'll have the option of either pulled rivets or solid rivets. So if you want that airplane build to go faster, if you like the look of solid rivets, all holes will be dimpled, but are dimpled, so mainly the nut plate holes in this airplane, since it is a populated airplane. Those will be dimpled ahead of time for you. So we're looking at all the little ways that we can improve the kit.
Nice, very nice. So what's the approximate all-in for the kits?
All-in for the kits right now, we're estimating about $86,000. So, slightly more than an RV-14, but less than an RV-10. There's a lot of machine components on this airplane, more than our other aircraft. Will drive the price up a little bit. But that will also lock this airplane together so that it just flies straight out of the box. These wings that you see behind you, this left wing in particular, we'll put that on in a minute, 48 seconds, 3 bolts, it's ready to fly. Besides hooking up the controls. But there's no jigging or rigging that's required at that point. You just put on the wing, you're ready to go.
Awesome. And it's a two-seater. I know originally we discussed 4-seaters maybe down the line. Is that still a thought, or is it still going to be a 2-seater?
Yeah, the way we're selling the airplane is 2 seats and a lot of baggage.
Okay.
If you look at a Cessna 180, that's the proverbial airplane in the backcountry market. If you take 4 people, you can't have any baggage. You could barely have the full fuel of the original airplane. You can't have the full fuel of the later models that had 80 gallons. So people usually end up flying those 2 people and a lot of baggage into the outback. And then you fly with your friend, these 2 people and a lot of baggage, right? So that's how people were flying the airplane. And we really saw an opportunity to be somewhere in between the bookends of the Cessna 180 over here. And then there's a lot of smaller aircraft that were in the store market, but they're using larger engines and they're wanting more cargo space. So if they want to be in that center position of the market, why don't place yourself there? Being here and not in a true 4 place we can go to a 4-cylinder engine. So it's a little bit more affordable, but we still have the IO390. It's 218 horsepower, and it will get you off the deck. The climb angles are simply amazing in this airplane. So performance is stellar. Power to weight ratio is right where it needs to be for this to be an RV, which is typically higher than an aircraft. And it's quite specific. So if we come back to the Cessna 180, which is what we're comparing ourselves to, the Cessna 180 is 40.5 inches wide if you went to a 1960 model. We're going to be 47 inches wide. So that's 6+ inches wider than a Cessna 180. Our baggage compartment, the distance from the baggage compartment to the instrument panel, is 6 inches longer. So just let that sink in for a bit. We are both longer and wider than a Cessna 180, which is known as the pickup truck of aviation going into the outback. If you come by here during the week, we have a bicycle that we have put in here. We have a little slot in the back bulkhead that holds the tire. 60 gallons of usable, so that tank is more than 30 gallons a side. And we also have header tanks under the floor. So between those two, we actually have 60 gallons of usable fuel. A lot of Cubs, they say we have 40-some gallons of fuel, but you actually have somewhere in 37 to 39 gallons of actually usable. So now let's take off, from Caldwell, Idaho, go into the outback. You burnt part of your fuel. How much fuel do you have to really fly around after you get out of your camping gear? We have a lot more than 60 gallons on board.
That's nice. So standard van's wet tank, is it pretty similar?
It's similar. It's not in the D-cell. We needed more volume for the fuel, and I wanted to bring that fuel cap in as far as I could. So we put it between the spars. It has a fuel cap that's far enough in that you could fill it from the strut in a float plane operation. So I didn't want that fuel cap too far upward. And we've achieved that. It's only about 21 inches from the root of the wing to the fuel cap. So real easy to reach. And again, that extra fuel volume that you're losing is accounted for in the extra size of the tank. So you get a true 30 gallons into that tank, even in the most adverse condition or attitude.
What is your expected fuel burn?
Expected fuel burn, it matters where you have the engine. If you're really pushing this engine, at the top end, fill out your 15, 16 gallons an hour. At 25 squared, you're about 10 and a half. On the way here, though, I was pulled back flying with a Rotex powered aircraft. I had to pull it back a ways to slow down, and I was burning 7 gallons an hour most of the trip at 13.5. So we were up there enjoying the tailwinds, burning 7 gallons an hour. It took me 33 gallons to get to Billings from Portland. That's 660 nautical miles. But in reality, if you take away the headwind, it was something like 520 real. But I used 33 gallons to get there. So that means I still have half a tank left, and I've flown over Idaho at that point.
Right,
leaving from Portland.
Very nice.
Montana. So yeah, if you pull this engine back, it's really economical. So we feel that this aircraft brings what it means to be an RV to aviation for a high wing. And part of that answer is the landing gear on this aircraft. So this landing gear, we're running 26s right now, but we have 6 inches of stroke in the gear itself. What you can't see inside the fuselage are gas struts, which take the action of this gear and convert it into those gas struts. On a normal aircraft, those would be outside the aircraft, and as a result, outside the aircraft there's a lot of drag. We've done that, placed all inside the fuselage to get that extra cruise speed. Now let's, if you look at this compared to, let's say, a tire that's sized in the 30s that you'd conventionally have on other aircraft on a spring gear, we actually have more travel, total travel, if you count this 6 inches plus the capacity that you get from the tire itself on this 26 inches. Because once you get to, let's say, a 30-some inch tire, you only have the travel on half of that tire diameter. So with a lower tire diameter here, we can still get that bush feel, but we get better visibility over the nose. Visibility on 26-inch tires in this aircraft is actually better than the Tail Dragger 14. So you can see over the nose, and that equates to ability to spot land where you want to roll out in a bush strip and see what's ahead of you, not run into those items, maneuver around. There's no need to S-turn in this airplane, but it allows a greater level of safety. Because you come in, I can come right over the runway in this airplane, almost a level attitude, just looking in front of me, totally in control of the airplane, and then just set it right on down. On the back of the airplane, we also have a gas strut. So all three wheels are controlled by gas struts. So the answer here is just pull back on the stick and let the airplane plant. We've dropped this airplane in from 5 feet, and it just plants itself and rolls straight ahead. That rear tail wheel also has a parallel link. That's a patent pending design, and it keeps a constant caster angle for the tail wheel. So as the tail wheel deflects on a normal tail dragger aircraft, the caster angle changes and you get tail wheel shimmy. We've never had tail wheel shimmy on this airplane, and that's one of the things that can lead to a ground loop situation. I also placed the gear further forward on this airplane that's conventional in an aircraft design, which means you can get on the brakes more on this airplane than you can in usual airplanes without the nose-over tendency. And when you're on large tires, that starts to become a concern as that tire size grows.
Fantastic. Well, it looks beautiful. I certainly appreciate your time again, and good luck with the sale of the kits and further getting the rest of the kits out on market.
Thank you.